Greetings, I'm Pastor Blaine from Rules Church. Yesterday in worship, we looked at a tough parable of Jesus. We looked at the parable of the tenants. That's a parable that is found in Mark's Gospel, the 12th chapter, verses 1 through 12. And we saw how this is no general parable that has really broad application, as many of them are. Rather, it speaks to the religious establishment, to the temple, the teachers of the law, the priests, etc. of the day, and it speaks to how they failed to recognize what God was doing in Jesus. Then, after we settled that, we did try to see what we might apply to us. And it boils down to this. It boils down to a question. Are we more like the tenants in the parable? Are we more like those who rejected God in the parable? Are we more like them than we would like to admit? Tough stuff indeed, but it is very appropriate for this season of Lent. And now another thing. Yesterday in the message, we didn't look closely at a particular part of the passage. We didn't focus on the quote that Jesus referred to in verse 10. In verse 10, toward the end of the passage, Jesus says, "The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes." We didn't look at that particular quote. It is a quote, though, from Psalm 118, verse 22 to 23. Psalm 118, 22 to 23. Now, if you go and you look up Psalm 118 and you read through Psalm 118, you'll see that Psalm 118 is a psalm that is understood to have been used in celebrations. Picture pilgrims in procession on their way to the temple, coming in for a feast, maybe especially during the Feast of Tabernacles. There is found in this Psalm 118 thanksgiving that is both individual in nature, and there is found thanksgiving that is communal in nature. Thanksgiving there then is the context that we should have in mind as Jesus quotes what he does, as he says what he does from this psalm to conclude his rebuke of the priests and the teachers. He is speaking to the priests and the teachers of rejection, but the thing that they reject, according to Psalm 118, the Lord has done it, and it is marvelous. So the question might be here, why can't the priests, the teachers of the law, all those experts, why can't they see this marvel? Why aren't they filled with thanksgiving when they consider Jesus? Well, it's a bigger answer than we maybe should tackle, but let's just sum it up to say this. Their focus is off. They really can't see what God is doing. They really can't see God's hand in it. I would ask you today, how is your focus? How is your focus when you consider pretty much everything, but especially as you try to think of the things of God? How is your focus when you read Scripture? How is your focus when you pray? Is your focus fixed more on you, or is it more on God? Something to think about here as we work our way through the season of Lent and prepare ourselves for the coming celebration that will be Easter. Well, I hope you will join us next Sunday in worship as we will continue through this season of Lent. Next week, we're going to look at a great commandment or two. So, hope to see you then. God bless.